Hello, everyone out there in the multiverse. I'm Dan.
Chris.
Isaac.
And we are here reviewing Ghostbusters Afterlife.
I was going to say, which one, sir?
Yes, Afterlife.
Afterlife.
Yes.
So,
Alright.
So
we
we
got the notes.
I got some notes. So let's go with the general description. IMDb claims for Ghostbusters Afterlife. When a single mom and her two kids arrive in a small town, they begin to discover their connection to the original Ghostbusters and the secret legacy their grandfather left behind. I don't know if I think that's the greatest way to describe this movie. But
It's accurate.
yeah, I don't know if it...
It's it's 100% accurate,
Yeah.
except for the fact that it opens up with they don't talk about inheriting the house or inheriting the property, or they were kind of how they didn't fit in,
Yeah.
Okay, well, they won't say everything. Watch the movie.
I guess so. So
That's the tagline. Watch the movie.
There you go.
So overall, I like, not to get too deep off the bat, but overall, I liked the film. Pros and cons and things like that. What did you all think? I'll get deeper into some of my thoughts here, but
I liked it. I thought it was actually the best Ghostbusters.
the best.
Yeah, the best.
Ooh,
As of now.
better than
Better than one, better than two,
Yeah.
which no one
Wow.
except for him liked number two.
I love number 2.
I know you did. That's why.
I saw
said-
number 2 in the theater, which is probably why I like number 2.
I did not see it in the theater. I did see one in the theater when I was 3.
I saw one in the theater when they re-released it.
I don't think I've
And
seen
then I
either
see-
of them in the theater.
Yeah. Wow. That is high praise. The thing is, and Dan was with me when I originally when I watched Afterlife, I wasn't a fan. I just something about it, but I thought about it, and it wasn't necessarily the movie itself. It was the fact I saw it opening night on a Friday night in a small town where everybody was there, and we had kids kicking on our seats.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind of how I
That
thought
interfe-
about Guardians in the Galaxy 2. I saw that like opening weekend, and I was like, oh my goodness, that wasn't pleasant.
Yeah.
So here's a question for you guys. I don't know if you will know the answer to this or not, but do you believe Ghostbusters 2 is retconned from that film?
I do not. I feel like there was some kind of reference to it.
There is.
I can't
There's
remember.
references.
references
There's
to.
small references, but it's never directly linked to.
Well, yeah, it's not linked to, but if they reference the events that
No,
happened,
they didn't invent a single thing. That only
Oh.
real connections that we see from Ghostbusters 2 is Ray's a cult.
Okay.
That's in there. If you look closely, you can see the toaster oven from in the farmhouse.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, why do you think it's retcon?
Oh no, I'm asking you guys.
Oh, okay.
It
I personally
was a
don't.
debate on online. for a
Oh,
while.
okay. Okay. Do you know some of the arguments for it being retcon?
One the major one was that when the Paul Rudd's character Gary, I believe is his name, Goober. Or
Was
something.
it Gary?
Uh,
It might have been. I can't
I've
remember.
He's
Paul Rudd.
It's Paul Rudd.
He's Paul Rudd.
Sorry, so
When
for
Paul Rudd
sure.
just talks.
He's-
yeah.
his name's
When Paul
Paul.
Rudd referenced the Ghostbusters pulling up YouTube and showing the clips, there was no reference of the Statue of Liberty getting up and walking down Main.
Yeah.
When you're talking in a little podcast, a conspiracy child, not hearing about the Statue of Liberty getting up and walking.
See, I'm someone who says just because something isn't mentioned doesn't mean it didn't happen. Because this was a direct sequel to 1. Because the events in 1,
But
it's a continuation of that.
So if this is a direct sequel to 1, then
It
But
Ghostbusters 2 doesn't happen.
that doesn't
But
mean that 2 doesn't happen.
Yeah,
because
if it's a direct sequel. then-
No.
Direct
Because
sequel does definitely means it takes the place of the older one. It skips them.
well, no, because there are still events that happen between the first one and this one, so that 2 fits in that. But 2 isn't a follow up to 1. Okay, so maybe direct sequel is the wrong word. Follow up. This movie is a follow up to 1.
In the reference, they asked the director if 2 was retconned, and he said no.
Correct. That's That it basically stirred up the pot so much that the director had to comment.
Yeah, he said that it's still in continuity. What is in question is the events in all real Ghostbusters. Let's go.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
I
or
don't
the
think
video
that is.
game.
I think the
video-
movies are the only thing that would be canon.
I
to
thought
this.
the last.
Well,
video
actually,
game
the
is in
video
canon.
game I think was supposed to be, but that doesn't really make sense either, though.
No.
At the time, it was. Now that one could have.
Oh yeah. That
might be-
probably has been retconned. Yeah.
And the other thing is that you don't ever see the child.
Oscar.
Yeah.
Now, to be fair, Oscar at this point, I mean,
He's not a child anymore,
He's not
of
a child.
course.
I mean, we do see in the post-credit scene that
They're married.
Dana and Venkman have gotten married. They're oddly enough
Yeah.
still living in the same apartment that Dana had
Yeah.
many years ago. But Oscar would be probably late 20s, early 30s,
Mm-hmm.
somewhere in that batch. And
Yeah,
he's
so
probably
he'd
not
be-
living at home anymore.
Right. I mean, that's a
So
good point.
they don't. I mean, because they didn't show her until the after credits scene, even. So
Right.
you know.
But she was one of the first ones they said, yes, she's in this.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
when
of course.
Now,
Sigourney
I'll be honest. When I first watched this movie and I actually thought it was, I thought 2 was deleted from canon.
Mhm.
I watched it and I was thinking it was following kind of how the Halloween films have come across, where we have a direct connection from Halloween 1978, John Carpenter, and skipping everything from Halloween 2 to Halloween Resurrection, and then going with this new batch. But looking into this movie for this, I was like, oh, I found out that it became such a point that the director commented that
Yeah.
Ghostbusters 2 is technically in canon. It's just nothing was referenced to it. There's little bits that you could see in
Here
the
and
back
there. Mhm.
that would connect the story, and he says there's other things that connect it that people just haven't found yet. So we'll see if
I
that
mean-
actually becomes true later on. I just didn't catch those things when watching the movie.
Yeah. Like honestly, I don't remember much of 2, so I didn't notice any Easter eggs in it at all. So
Well,
that's-
Raise a Cult's a good Easter egg.
but again, I don't remember it.
Yeah.
It's there, but I don't. Yeah.
Now, in regards to the references of the film, one of the things I thought was kind of would give me the every now and again when watching Afterlife was the nods to the previous films in a way that it made me almost feel like the directors thought we would forget we are watching a Ghostbusters movie. Like we're gonna show the closet. Do we get to see the emblem on the car?
Yeah, that was a little.
Or
yeah, I agree with you there.
So I don't
or
know.
the mini Stay Puffs.
The mini Stay Puft is the only one of my huge
Yeah,
actual
I
issues
feel like
with
that
the
should
show.
have been there. Yeah.
The mini Stay Puft felt me for me. You're like, hey, let's quickly make a toy line.
Yeah.
Mini Stay Puft.
Mini Stay Puffs.
But everything referencing Ecto 1 I thought was really well done, with it being under the dusty cloth and they slowly pull back and then they get called away. I like that. I like that build up.
Well, the thing is, the problem with it, in my opinion, is that you know what it is. You know what's there. So them pulling away at that moment feels like they're trying to keep you in suspense, but you know it's there. You know what it is.
Yeah,
already.
I mean, as soon as they said Ghostbusters, of course there's going to be Ecto 1.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
But
that was in the
thing
trailers.
is that there are some people out there in this world that haven't watched it. They're going in to watch Ghostbusters for
Brand
the
new.
very first time. So maybe for them that'd be special, or for people who like me who just like the big, the drawback and going, oh, is it gonna be
You like
very-
the tease.
Yeah,
You
is it
like
gonna
the
be,
tease.
Is it gonna be rusty? Is it rusty? Oh my goodness, gunner seat.
Now, one line I did kind of groan at was when they are in the jail cell, and it's like, oh, you get one phone call.
Who are you gonna call?
Who you gonna
Yeah.
call?
Yeah,
I was
that-
like,
but to me, even though that was a little corny, it needed to be in there.
It needed
They
to
needed
come
to
in.
have that in there.
So let's talk about that phone call for a second.
Yeah.
okay.
All right. So Ray, who's being presented as a curmudgeon at this point in time.
Yes.
Yeah.
The phone rings, and it's a young girl, right? It's the girl, yes.
Yeah.
And
It's Phoebe.
Yeah.
she is talking to him and just blurting things out. And he's a curmudgeon. And he thinks it's a joke. Wouldn't he just hang up? Because it's somebody he has no connection to whatsoever.
Well, she did kept constantly saying, like, please don't hang up.
That is true, but that is in a lot of movies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a lot of movies where someone calls them, they don't have any connection, and they just keep talking, and it doesn't make sense, but it's
called a plot device.
Yeah, it's a plot device, you know?
Look, one of these days we'll get to talk about the Friday the 13th TV show.
Oh, we'll see.
Yeah.
Overall, in scope of the film, I did think it was kind of smaller. I don't know if you guys would agree or not. Particularly, the climax. I thought the climax was smaller, more intimate, to be fair. Where like it's grandiose in the first one, where we're on top of the giant building and explosions and fiery marshmallow man and building, just everything going. Where this is like it's at a farmhouse. And I thought it was very intimate, and at first I was kind of like,
the mountain wasn't good enough for you.
Huh?
The mountain wasn't good enough for you with all the ghosts inside. And the zombie.
I mean, I agree with him, but I like the fact that it was small.
Actually, that's what I'm going to circle to. At first, like as I'm watching this, I'm like, I was just thinking it would be more of a grand stage, I suppose, because similar to let's say Ghostbusters 2, we're going Statue of Liberty down and then we're having the big feel-good moment, power chords. So it set that up in the past.
Right.
But I feel like that last 10, 15 minutes, we wouldn't have able to have those, I guess the reunion scene in that way, in a big showdown of the galactic proportions, if it hadn't been. This smaller, more intimate scene, I think, allowed for that. Similar to the daughter and Egon having some level of reconciliation. If we had giant explosions and fire and all these things, it would have those two scenes in particular would have been out of place. The tempo would not have flowed.
Right. Yeah.
Well, it seems like Egon is kind of trapped in that farmhouse, that area of the farmhouse. So therefore, that grandiose thing with the ghost, like if they were going to be marching downtown with Egon, I don't know if Egon could have gone that far.
Well, actually, I don't get the impression that he was trapped there. It's just he was staying there because this is the way to stop that he figured out.
Okay.
So I feel like after everything's done, he can go on.
He did dissipate.
I definitely think he went on.
Yeah. But let's go back to that. How do y'all think they handled Egon? You know, the tribute to him because his actor's dead.
I thought it was amazing, and that the actual how they did the ghost, how they caught like his personality, the smile, just the facial movements, and everything like that was perfect. You know? It was a very touching tribute. You know, considering that he was one of the ones people kept pushing to have this movie made. All those years. And
I mean, it could have been done really poorly.
Yes,
it could have been done in a disrespectful way. It could have been done just poor graphically, poor storytelling, and just it could have flopped completely.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
But they did it nice and tight. I think they did it too.
With respect.
It was respect. You concealed the identity enough in the intro to use a live actor, it seems. You still have the character somewhat involved throughout the film where he's kind of being a guiding force to the grandchildren and later to his daughter when they're in the lab. And then we have our CGI Egon, which overall I think was done well. And then our respectful actors, I think the scene was handled well. You didn't have him being voiced over by anybody, which was something I had a concern of having a voiceover.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And then it just not sounding right or not being correct in some way.
Yeah, him being silent was definitely the correct choice.
Yeah. I mean, it just depends on like how they wanted to. You know, if they had a talking Egon, there's so much of opportunity for mistakes to be made. If Egon's sitting there talking and they get the wrong voice actor, or even if they use his own, you know, like a relative or somebody to voice for him, You know, it's just too hard.
Or like
you know?
chopping up his language, or there's some AIs that can do voiceovers now.
Well, I think that's how they did Val Kilmer's voice box now.
Oh,
Is they
really?
use recorded lines from his in the past, so when he talks, they'll do that.
In respects to then the CGI, what did you guys think of the CGI? Not just with Egon, but throughout the film.
I mean, it fit. I mean, it worked for what they've done before. You know, which I mean, for the time in the '80s, that was great CGI.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll admit, I am a fan of practical effects
Yes.
over CGI whenever possible. However, there were times where we had the who was it Zool and Zins Korflo. I was trying to remember the second one's name. That looked pretty. I thought it looked really good actually on the screen. Usually when CGI is on there, it just for me it looks just fake. It looks like it's painted on and it doesn't do well. But they shaded the tones with Egon well enough that I thought it flowed in that reality. The Zool and them, they looked close to what they did, I think, in the original Ghostbuster. And I'll be probably honest, my bar wasn't particularly high on the CGI when looking at Ghostbusters Answer the Call CGI in comparison, because that looked like more like Eddie Murphy Haunted Mansion type, like the CGI in Answer the Call was just garbage.
I mean, do we compare like the budget for this, for Answer the Call versus the budget for for the newest one, Afterlife?
I don't know.
I don't.
It's probably.
I feel like just a general feel. I feel like there was more care in handling, so I think it had to have a bigger budget.
That you think Answer the Call had a bigger budget or Afterlife had a bigger budget?
Afterlife.
I'm not sure.
Well, I mean, Afterlife is scaled down though, also, so they don't necessarily need as much money to do what they did.
Right. I mean,
I agree that they took plenty of care with this movie.
yeah, I just think that the respect and care, they had to have a little bit bigger budget because they give them more freedom. Now I could be wrong. I've never looked at the numbers.
Yeah,
either.
I haven't either. No.
You know, because I was happy for what we got. You know.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a sequel to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Reitman had mentioned that maybe some of the things that we didn't notice from the connections of Ghostbusters 2 might be brought into a sequel.
Yeah.
Which I was like, all right, that makes sense. I did think there was a little bit of a continuity error because my understanding, Ray mentioned that the firehouse had been turned into a Starbucks.
Yes.
Yeah, and
then at the end of the movie, in the post credits, we see that that it's not. It's there, and the storage unit is there, and it's blinking. And
I saw that as Ray joking. That's what because I could see him doing that. You know,
just be like, "Kid, stop talking to me."
Yeah,
It's a Starbucks now.
yeah.
I mean, I think it was kind of a throwaway line. You know,
Yeah.
kind of to move along the thing. You know, that's why.
And
So it was kind of meant to trick us and the kid at the same time. So we thought, okay, we're not going to see the original Ghostbuster place because it's not there anymore.
Yeah, and I could see it also being an ad lib by the actor. You know.
All right. So, did you guys have any favorites? What was probably your favorite scene?
My favorite. Go ahead, while I think.
Mine's too easy. Gunner seat.
The gunner seat. Yeah.
Gunner seat. I just love, like, it's stupid and crazy, and how, like, if you look at it and go, how's this little kid know how to use a gunner seat, already? How does everything work the way it, right away? I just really enjoyed that next step of evolution. A lot of a lot of good questions are asking when it comes to the little electronic car. How did they?
How did the kid know how to?
How did the kid knew it? How is it keeping up? Is it driving it, or was it AI? All that. All the upgrades to the Ecto-1 really felt like that would have been in the next step. And it just was awesome. I just really like gunner seat.
I think I liked when Phoebe at the end in the mountain when she was telling the jokes.
Yes.
Yeah, because that felt very much like what the original Ghostbusters would do.
Like, okay.
You know, it just felt like this was them truly becoming the next generation kind of thing.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I think my favorite scene, similar actually, was in that mountain or hill, but it's more when Phoebe and her brother, when she's talking to them, but basically when Phoebe's understanding at this point that Egon sacrificed his life, his friendship, his family, everything for this particular cause. So she's realizing they weren't abandoned, they weren't forgotten. This was deemed important, and she understood that this was really important to take care of. So I dug that. I thought that was particularly impactful scene.
Okay.
To answer your one question, though, I just looked it up. Ghostbusters Afterlife had a $75 million budget. Ghostbusters Answer the Call had a $144 million budget.
Yeah.
And it was that bad?
Yes.
See, you'd be surprised, but bad movies have bad budgets because they were going with the comedic names at the time. You know, that makes perfect sense to me. A lot of times, the lower budget ones will take better care of the material.
You gotta work with what you got.
Yeah,
too.
yeah, exactly.
You got so much money.
That's
You gotta learn to stretch it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
crazy. That's that mind blown moment there, you know.
Maybe we'll figure out how much of that money went to dance sequences. In regards to cast, maybe we could talk about each of them a little bit. So Carrie Coon played Callie, the mom in the film.
Okay.
Any strong thoughts or opinions that you would want to share?
She was a typical. I don't have any strong feelings towards her one way or the other. She was just a typical parent figure, in my opinion.
I thought she did good for what she was doing. She played a distressed mom, how am I going to make ends meet mom very well. I'm moving out to the middle of nowhere so I can make, survive on a low budget, a simple budget, because this is something given to me instead of having to pay for it,
Yeah.
So I thought she did good. She had good chemistry with the kids, so.
Yeah, I agree. Overall, I thought she did a great job. Definitely showing the whole struggling mom piece, and that she seemed to honestly care about the kids in that scene, and kind of just seeming to want the best for them. So I agree with that. Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd for me was he was Paul Rudd.
He was Paul Rudd. Yeah.
Paul Rudd just could be any movie he wants to be in.
Yeah,
that's just it. I'm sorry.
He's Paul Rudd. He's
make no excuses.
I enjoy watching him.
It's Paul Rudd on the screen.
He is essentially himself all the time, but he's entertaining.
Yeah.
Always.
While I have gone on record saying that I do think his character didn't really need to be in the movie.
Really, I think he bridged the gap. I mean, otherwise,
they
apparently no one else had Google or YouTube search.
Yeah, I mean, so I just felt like you didn't really need him. Somebody else could have done that role, or the other kid could have filled that role to bring them where they got to be. The shoehorn the love interest kind of deal.
Oh, we'll get to her in a second.
So.
So we also then have Finn Wolfhard as Trevor, the brother, in that film. What did you guys think of the Stranger Things film, basically?
Yeah. I mean, this film is definitely the effect of Stranger Things on the world. You know? Like, Stranger Things was such a phenomenal ripple effect in the industry, in my opinion, that people did go, we should go younger, we should look younger, and these kids are talented actors that can pull things off. Let's try something.
Actually cast kids.
Yeah, I actually thought that he did perfectly good.
Yeah,
why did I say?
I'll admit, I kind of felt him and the Lucky apparently, Miss O'Connor, the quasi love interest or person of interest. I felt like they were kind of there just to be the other people in the suits, like. Phoebe and podcast, I understood, being that next, we're moving forward, they kind of have the vibe in there. Unless we're saying maybe Trevor's more the straight man, so to speak, kind of like Venkman.
That's what I was going to say.
I think
every movie needs that straight man, or every comedy needs a straight man in there, so there you go.
Keep in mind, in the original, Winston was just someone to be in a suit.
Yeah.
Just someone put in there. Because
He was there for a job.
He was there for a job.
Which, in regards to the love interest, that fits Winston. And that's one thing I liked about the kids. They all fit a role from the original.
Okay.
Like Phoebe was Egon. Podcast was...
Ray.
Yeah, Ray. Mm-hmm. The older brother doesn't really fit, what's the name? I can't think of his name.
His name is Trevor.
No, not his name, but
You're trying to say he's Venkman, right?
Venkman. Yeah,
Yes,
I couldn't think of Venkman.
Yeah, we got Peter Venkman.
Yeah. So technically, he was that role, but he doesn't do a good job in that role.
Okay.
I think.
Well, it's so. I mean, when you look at Venkman, he's not necessarily your typical straight man. He's kind of goofy and wild and has his own antics,
Yeah.
Whereas you have Ray and Egon as the kind of off the wall kind of scientist guys that are actually
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks. And then we have McKenna Grace as Phoebe. I adored her.
Yeah.
I think
She
she
is.
carries this movie.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
If you did not have her in this, I don't know if it would have gone over nearly as well.
Exactly. And she looks like Egon. She has that look.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she's very likable. She's smart, and I can also see new fans to the franchise and younger kids just being drawn to her, kind of having that outsider approach or that the science kid or what have you. You could kind of wrap all those pieces together.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's that charisma, She definitely, when she's on the screen, you want to know what she's going to do next, or what silliness she's going to say, or what she's going to try.
Mm-hmm.
And let's face it, the goofy dad, again, for lack of a better, dad jokes that she was telling, kind of
They worked.
They worked.
Yeah, they do.
I got a chuckle out of her some of her jokes.
Yeah.
I was like, "You're honestly trying, kid. I got you."
Exactly.
I'll be honest. I'd be okay if the other kids didn't come back. If she still came.
Like even podcasts.
Yeah, I don't think you have a sequel to this without Phoebe McKenna Grace.
Mm-hmm.
You could have a sequel without the other three. You could have other people fill those roles.
Speaking about sequels, the way this ended, do you actually think they're going to bring any of the kids back?
Maybe. I think you could have
even Phoebe.
I think you're gonna have Phoebe back. The others, I'm not sure.
I definitely think they are gonna bring them back. I just don't know if they're gonna bring back all of them because do you need the brother Trevor?
That's what I mean.
Do you really? Is he somebody? If they go further on, how do they approach it? Do they go Ghostbusters Incorporated and have franchises, or how do they? It just depends on how they do the next step. Mm-hmm. If they're going to continually follow the family, then of course you have to have the other kids back. But are we going to? If we follow Phoebe and her adult or her growing up to be an adult, you don't necessarily need the brother. You don't necessarily need podcasts. You have you can just focus on her as a main character. Because she'll carry it.
Speaking of podcast, what did you guys think of podcast?
I like
his name is Logan Kim.
I liked podcast. I did. So if Phoebe comes back, I want a podcast to come back. The brother, he can stay gone. But I want podcast back. I liked him.
I'm definitely on the side of Phoebe and podcast there.
Okay, I would agree.
Trevor, there are parts for him, other than him driving the Ecto-1 out in the middle of nowhere, doing, figure eights and driving in the cornfield,
there's not much.
There's not much. Getting in trouble by, driving through town while they're shooting everything up. I don't see a plot line unless that is the next movie. Let's focus on the brother. Let's see how
they
sister
could,
getting all the attention. Works.
I do think podcast. He was definitely the comedic relief. The way his lines were, I felt a little bit different than other people's. But I think it was because he was meant to be like, I'm gonna break the tension. Hi.
Yeah.
I like conspiracy theories.
Right. That's exactly. Yeah.
I mean,
And then I believe this is how we say her name, Celeste O'Connor. Her name is in the film was Lucky, and she was also the local to the town, but also the person of interest for Trevor. I didn't see being the policeman's daughter came out of nowhere to me, but I was like, but it did add a little bit more depth to her. I feel like of the characters in this film, she's probably the one that got the least development. Trevor, I don't think got much, but at least we saw, well, he could fix a car, he could drive somewhat. With her, we didn't get that much to know about her.
Yeah.
Other than her family's been around in this town for years.
But she could have been, like, I kind of felt like she was there to give them a connection to this town.
Yes.
And a reason to care for this town. Same thing with podcasts. Phoebe and Trevor have a reason to want to be in this town or want to stay in this town and enjoy this town. You know, something more than we're here because we're broke.
Yeah.
All right. And then with our original Ghostbusters, we have Dan Aykroyd as Ray Stantz, Ernie Hudson, Winston Zedmore, Harold Ramis as Dr. Egon Spengler, and Bill Murray as Peter Venkman. Any thoughts you guys want to say about the original crew and what you saw in that 10 minutes they were maybe in the movie?
Could have used more Winston.
I mean,
Winston, I think, got the most screen time.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm not joking.
Yeah.
I would like to see more.
I actually think he did really well.
And for somebody who was kind of just looking for a job, he tends, I like the character.
Yeah.
I like him having happy endings. I like him being rich and something really good happening to him.
Yeah.
And him being the one that actually says, "Hey guys, look what I got."
That's true. He seemed to pan out to do the best out of all of them on a financial standpoint.
Yeah.
I don't know about on an emotional or social emotional level.
Right.
I mean, for all we know, maybe Peter has a great loving family going on. And I don't know, but
regarding that scene with them, I felt like there was a tone shift once they showed up.
yeah.
I mean, I like them being in the movie and everything, but it felt like just suddenly a different movie once they showed up. I'm not even sure if I feel like that was good or bad. I don't know.
I'll admit, when we were watching the movie, we were getting near the end. I'm like, okay, where are they? Are they coming? Like,
Yeah.
are there minutes left for the original Ghostbusters to show up?
Right. Exactly.
And when they did, I was like, oh, okay. And then when I was happy to see them, but I was more invested in them being there for closure with Egon than for them catching the ghost.
Right. Yeah.
Right. I mean, I thought that was going to be their role, is that to give us closure.
I mean, they helped a little with like holding it down and things like that, but that was such an emotional scene. I really liked it particularly, but I did kind of get annoyed at Ray as we get more and more throughout the film, going, Ray, couldn't you have gone downtown for just a weekend? Like, I understand you're mad, but you could have gone down, because Spengler invited him over there multiple times. Like, hey, come over, you could see what I'm doing, and none of the original New York crew did.
Yeah. I felt that was a little odd that they, had these adventures with him and didn't believe him, didn't help him at all. Plot device, yeah.
I guess so.
I mean,
it could just be that's them growing apart, and everybody got their end that they were looking for, minus Egon, who was still digging into, to the occult, to the the ghosts. He couldn't let it go, whereas everybody else might have just
Well, now they're still in business mode, and Egon stole all the stuff and ran off.
Yeah.
True. Sorry. I forgot about that.
That's okay. It happens.
Yeah.
In regards to Annie Potts, who played Janine, and Sigourney Weaver as Dana, any thoughts on them? It was nice to see them, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was nice to see them.
Once again, Annie Potts.
Yeah, it provides great continuity from the previous one. Did they need to be there? No, but it was good. It was good to see them. Yeah.
I like the idea of Annie Potts, while she never ended up with Egon, still looking over him.
Yeah.
That was
still
a good
carrying
one.
a little bit of a flame.
Or just that honest, not even just a flame, just
Yeah.
an honest friendship.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I could see it that crush or whatever developed into friendship. Where they're best friends.
Yeah, I like I said, I liked her being in there, and I felt that her being there was very poignant and making it. Sigourney Weaver being in there was to counteract and to give us something to go for with the Peter and her relationship.
Yeah, lets us know how that ended up,
Yeah.
even though if it was only like a quick 2-minute scene. It was still fun,
Yeah.
and we
Yeah,
got
it
a
was
little bit of
definitely,
knowledge about what happened with them in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Side note, Evo Shandar, I thought looked cool. Our zombie corpse after so much, and which being J.K. Simmons.
Yeah.
I thought. It was
I
fun.
did not know. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a
that
Daily
I was
Bugle.
thinking of someone else. Yes, yeah, I recognize him. Yeah.
And then last, I guess on here, Ecto 1. How did you guys think it looked? Did you like how it looked? Would you have done something different?
I would have done exactly the same. I think. Yeah.
I already know I love it.
No?
I mean,
Cool.
I like I don't know what it is about the gunner seat, but it's just there's something about it.
Well, at some point, Egon added the gunner seat at the farm, I
Yeah.
suppose. Because it wasn't in 1 or 2.
Yes, I
He's
don't want
working
to.
all by himself, but he plans to have a gunner seat. So.
Well, I'm assuming at some point in time he would have planned to go back and get the boys, right?
Maybe.
Maybe,
know?
but it looked like he gave up on them. So maybe at one point he was planning on it, and that's why he had the gunner seat. Makes sense, yeah.
Alright. And then last bit, I don't know if you guys are up for this or not, but maybe could you do a 1 through 5 ranking on the 4 films? Could you pick your top order?
Some of he's
Wait,
kind of
1
already hinted
through
at it.
5
Yeah.
on 4 films?
Yeah, like Ghostbusters 1, Ghostbusters 2, Answer the Call,
Yeah.
Afterlife.
Like placing them in 1 through 5 order?
Yeah, or like your top.
But there's only 4 movies.
I know.
Okay.
I meant
okay.
like for me, for example, I would rate, like if I had a 1 through 5 scale,
Oh, okay.
I would give Ghostbusters the original a 4.
Okay.
I think it's a damn good film. It is great on comedic timing, beat by beat.
Okay.
Okay.
I see what you're saying,
Oh.
yes.
Ghostbusters 2, I think I'd give it a 3. Overall, I enjoyed it. I have some fond memories. I dug the power cords and the toaster and the goo, and I love you, Ray. Ghostbusters Answer the Call, I'm going to give a 1. It's a
Not
movie.
good, huh?
Yeah. It's a movie.
Yeah.
It got distributed. Yeah,
Yeah.
it sucked. But to be fair, there are people who really like it, and maybe it's just a movie not for me.
Yeah.
But I think story-wise, it missed a lot of marks, and it was also a bad script. So I can't. I would never want to sit down and watch it again. Ghostbusters Afterlife, I think I like a little bit better than Ghostbusters 2. I would give it like a 3.5. And mostly that 0.5 is because I really liked the ending. I think the ending for Ghostbusters Afterlife was a lot stronger than the ending for Ghostbusters 2.
Right.
Okay. I mean, I definitely would have to agree with the ending being stronger than Ghostbusters 2. Even though I love my dancing down New York Statue of Liberty. They're like I said, I remember being a kid and going to see it in the theater, and when the theme song hits and it's dancing, and then going home and wanting to dance and wanting to be a Ghostbuster and looking at the toys and watching the cartoon. Jeez, ranking.
My understanding Ghostbusters 2 is your favorite.
It's actually not my favorite. One's still my favorite.
Oh, okay.
I will defend 2 because I genuinely believe 1 and 2 are great movies. I would say if we're gonna have to go, I'd give Ghostbusters 1 a 5 out of 5.
Okay.
But we've off of camera we've talked about my viewing of their actual being perfect movies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I would go Ghostbusters 1's definitely a 5 out of 5.
Okay.
Ghostbusters 2, because it holds such a nostalgia for us, because nostalgia with me is a very, when I watch movies, it does affect me. I would go 3.5.
3.5.
3.5. Only reasons why it's 4 is because In rewatching, you're right. It's a lot weaker than it's in my heart. I like it a whole lot more than it actually when you holding it.
If you're looking at critically, it's not.
Yeah.
It doesn't hold up as well.
Correct.
For with nostalgia.
For answer the call, is a negative available?
I mean, you could give it a 0.
I would give it. There were some parts I generally chuckled at. It's a 1.
A
1
1.
out of 5.
Like for me, for a 0 means like the film should not have been distributed, or it didn't actually get distributed, and there's like a ghost copy going around.
Or I would give Afterlife, after long thought about it, probably a 4 out of 5.
All right. That's
But I want to talk about Extreme Ghostbusters. I want to talk about real Ghostbusters.
all right. Yourself, Dan.
Yeah. Okay. So, 1, I give it a 4. It's a classic. Everyone loves it. It's got great acting, great special effects, especially for the time. 2, I'd actually give that a 2.
Wow.
I know. I didn't appreciate it. I felt
You're fine. I'm still giving you the bad look.
I know.
I'm still giving you the evil eye.
I just didn't appreciate it. See, I was thinking about giving it a 1, but I figured no, it actually deserves a 2. It still has good acting, and it still has good special effects. It's just the movie overall, it fell flat.
It's also a beat by beat try to be Ghostbusters 1 again.
Yeah,
it does
kind of
try.
is. Yeah. Answer the Call, I actually hadn't seen. So, based on everyone else, I'd give it a 0. But maybe I might like it. I probably not, but no.
I wouldn't do it to yourself.
Afterlife, though, I give it a 4.5. Simply because I don't give anything a 5. I don't give anything. I don't believe in the perfect movie. Anything can improve. But I did find this better than the first 2. So that's my ranking.
All right. You're first. You like Afterlife better
Yes,
than,
I do. I do.
than the original.
I do. It's me. All right. Y'all got anything else to add?
No, just thank you
tell
for
them how
watching.
you feel at Multiverse Comic Books in Culpeper, Virginia.
Yep.
Yes.
And definitely tell us how you feel in the comments section below. And be sure to subscribe and like this video. Till next time, see you in the multiverse. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Yeah, just everybody.
Oh. Show your. No, I was trying to see if it's a better way to show your ghost thing.
Your ghost.
But it doesn't seem to. There you go. I was trying to
Put that in there.
I was trying to go.
All right, sorry, I'm RoboCop over here, so I don't have a Ghostbusters shirt.
Mine.
You just don't like Ghostbusters, apparently.
I got too small for mine.
Maybe.
So I'll wear like murder hobo shit.
Yeah, it works.
I mean,
All right. You ready?
Yeah.
already.
All right.